I cannot believe Howie Roseman continues to get away with this stuff. How does he do this? How? I'm reacting to the Eagles signing Azeez Ojulari to a 1-year, $4 million deal. Let's give some background on who Aziz is. It's not Aziz Al-Shair. My friend tried to tell me that was him. I was like, bruh, it's two of them Johns. But this Aziz went to Georgia, and he played with Nolan Smith, Nakobe Dean, Jalen Carter, and Jordan Davis. He's 24 years old, has played in the league for 4 seasons, and he has 22 sacks in 4 years. This is a guy that the only issue in his game or glaring weakness is not his ability, it's his health. He's 6'3", 240 pounds. I'm looking at his long arms. All right, bro. I'm naming the physical traits. But this guy is in the 95th percentile in terms of physical traits per the NFL scouting combine. Just saying. He has burst off the edge. He can get at running quarterbacks. He's great in pass rush situations, obviously. We saw this guy go out here and sack Joe Burrow, sack Jalen Hurts, go crazy on Russell Wilson. I'm not saying it's the young Russell Wilson, but all I'm saying is you got a guy that he did go out there and go stride for stride with Jalen Hurts when Jalen Hurts tried to juke him, and Ojulari was like, I'm here, right? So Ojulari has shown flashes to be a very, very impactful pass rusher, and the only downside is he hasn't been healthy. But best believe this, if Ojulari, best believe this, y'all, if Azeez Ojulari plays a full season, I'll even say 15 games max, he's going to have 8 sacks. You can book it. Because so much attention is going to Jalen Carter. So much attention will be at Nolan Smith. There will be attention going to Jalix Hunt. And best believe the Eagles are going to draft a stud defensive tackle to replace Milton Williams. And you're going to see a guy in Ojulari go stupid. And do not understate that Philadelphia Georgia Bulldog connection we saw with Nolan Smith in that playoff game with Jalen Carter, and he telling Jalen Carter just to trust him, and he trusted him. They got a sack. Jalen Carter was like, I appreciate. He was like, bruh, that's what we do. That's what we do. Nakobe Dean being that leader on the field. I mean, it's amazing to see Howie Roseman continuously get Georgia Bulldogs. I don't know how he does it, but the fact that the league allowed Howie Roseman and this top-tier organization, the Philadelphia Eagles, to acquire him is insane. It's insane how the Eagles were able to acquire this guy that's low risk and a high reward. That's a fact. That is a fact. So I'm looking at this guy, and I'm saying he got the physical tools. He's a Georgia Bulldog. And he was basically the best edge rusher available on the market. Now, before I get to Uche, Joshua Uche, I want to say this. What Howie Roseman is doing is he's saying, I'm going to put my faith in my coaches. That's what he's saying. Because what the Eagles have done is they've paid a premium for their coaches. They're paying a premium for Jeff Stoutland. They're paying a premium for Vic Fangio. Why is that? Because then you can sign a guy in Zach Bond, and he goes from being a special teamer to an all-pro defensive player of the year candidate. Go from Mekhi Becton, who was a bust, he links up with Jeff Stoutland, and now he's one of the best guards in the freaking league. That's coaching. The players get credit, but that's Howie Roseman saying, I trust my coaches to maximize the ability of these guys who we're getting on a discount. Now, look, we're not in the business of overpaying players in free agency. The Titans, they spent all that money last year in free agency, right? All that money. What happened? They got the #1 overall pick. They're about to draft Cam Ward. So all that money that they spent, it don't mean much if you don't have the coaches in place to maximize that talent. But the Eagles have all the freaking tools with their coaches to maximize all of this talent. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And the Chiefs and the Patriots did the exact same thing during their dynasties. What did they do? I'm trusting Bill Belichick. What did they do? I'm trusting Steve Magnolia. What did they do? They trusted Andy Reid. Hell, they trusted Tom Brady. I mean, Josh McDaniels, he all right, but like they trusted Tom Brady. So again, when you have great people in your organization and you have great people that maximize everybody else, and it's that iron sharpens iron mentality, you're able to sign players that everybody thinks is washed, but that's just because they haven't been in your building. And hell, with Ojulari, maybe he's been injured because he's been at MetLife Stadium. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why. On that BS turf. I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying. So Joshua Uche, let's go to him. I think this is a great depth piece signing. Great depth piece signing. And guy that he's shown upside. He's only 26 years old, from Michigan. He's a guy who in 2022, he had 11 sacks. That was his breakout year. Now, he hasn't been able to replicate that. But I would like to believe if you link him up with Clint Hurt, if you link him up with Vic Fangio, and you link him up with all those stars on that defensive line, I know Milton Williams is gone. I know Josh Sweat is gone. But best believe we got some stars still, obviously, on this defensive line that will cook. That will cook. And again, I'm like a broken record, but it's iron sharpens iron. So at the very least, with Joshua Uche and Azeez Ojulari, I mean, the Eagles have great depth pieces to supplement Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt. That's the bare minimum. Now, what could be great is if you mix Uche and Ojulari and you get Josh Sweat. And folks was saying, could they replace Bryce Huff? Bryce Huff did nothing. Respectfully, Bryce Huff was a non-factor this season. So if he was a non-factor, anything that's a plus is better than Agent Zero. I'm just saying the facts. So I think the Eagles, and we're going to talk about them trading away Bryce Huff, trading away Dallas Goedert. I'll start with Bryce Huff. But it's like, bro, y'all can trade him, bro. I don't really care. He's not worth nothing. No team's really going to trade him unless maybe it's the 49ers and Robert Saleh thinks that he can get the most out of him, because Robert Saleh is the only defensive guy that was able to get the most out of Bryce Huff in his career. You feel me? So maybe they want to, but I don't see any team really seeing value in Bryce Huff. So ultimately, I think it's a situation where you might have to release him. But I don't know. I just feel like you guys just keep him on the team because he's going to have such a big cap hit. It's just like you might as well just roll the dice and say, hey, maybe his second year with Vic Fangio, he's better. Maybe this was like a down year. That pressure got to him. But that pressure kind of gets off from him a little bit, given the fact that the Eagles won a Super Bowl. So I'm being positive now. I was crapping on Bryce Huff, rightfully so, because he has been very, very bad for the Eagles. And I still get ticked off because I'm thinking to myself, well, if the Eagles didn't sign him to $50 million, Howie Roseman's one bad move last offseason, we could have signed CJ Johnson, potentially. But let me just touch on that real quick before I get to Dallas Goedert. I'm not buying the fact that the Eagles traded away CJ Gardner-Johnson for financial reasons. That's cap. Saying that would relieve cap money is such cap because the Eagles tried to trade for Justin Reed with the Chiefs. And it wasn't like CJ's making Bryce Huff money. What are we talking about? So clearly it's something behind the scenes. I don't know what it is. One can speculate that maybe Howie and Lurie didn't like the off-field antics. I don't care if you produce, if you got that dog in you, I don't care. And I'm going to keep talking about it until the Eagles go out here and get another legit safety next to Reed Blankenship. Because for as much as I believe in Sidney Brown, it is a huge risk to trade away CJ Gardner-Johnson and say that we're giving the keys to Sidney Brown. And if Sidney Brown gets hurt, who's next? Tristan McCullum? What? So we got to go out there and talk about that. Now, I'm not saying, we're cooked. It's over. We're not going to repeat. We're not contenders. I'm not going that far. But I think it's a little bit disingenuous just to say, all right, Howie Roseman, I trust you with everything. Like, he's still human. He's still going to have some moves that are a little bit questionable. And with the CJ trade, it tells me two things. Either they were annoyed by the off-field antics, or they think Kenyon Green is going to be Mekhi Becton. That's what it is. It's one of those two, because it's not cap relief. What do we say? Y'all tried to sign Justin Reed. So that's cap. That's cap. That was my little rant for today. Y'all know I gotta pop it a little bit. I gotta pop it a little bit. Now let's get to Dallas freaking Goedert. It pains me to say this, but Dallas Goedert, I think it's time for him to go. I do. And Dallas Goedert, man, is a top 5 tight end in Eagles history. Can really say top 3 outside of Zach Ertz. I mean, Brent Selleck can't win no championship. So you can really say Dallas Goedert, for real, is number 2, but no debate, top 4, right? So I'll say this. We know it's no debate Dallas Goedert is a top 4 tight end in Eagles history. But in the NFL, you have to trade players or release them a year early rather than a year late. This is not a knock on Dallas Goedert's ability. All it's saying is you're 30 years old. You've been injury prone throughout the season in several years. And should the Eagles pay him $10 million and all this stuff when it's like, we can draft a tight end in this strong draft. We got all these comp picks. We got all these picks in this draft and next year's draft. And what this tells me, they're signing all these guys to be their tight ends for depth reasons. What that tells me is Dallas Goedert's out the door, unless he restructures his contract and makes it, significantly less cap hit than what it would be, because none of his years is guaranteed. So, I mean, if they can trade Goedert for a 4th round pick, I'm for it. Again, it pains me to say it because Goedert is one of the best playoff performers in Eagles history. He is. But Howie has got to make some tough moves and take the emotion out of it. Now, it would have been hard for me to say this if Goedert was like 27, 28, 29, hell. But once you get 30, it's only a few guys that after 30, with being a tight end, you're still the same player. You're still very productive. And granted, I mean, we did see with Zach Ertz, I'll be fair, we did see with Zach Ertz, him kind of have a resurgence this season when we thought that he was done. So I can shout out Jayden Daniels for that. But again, I just think with Dallas Goedert, bro, I think that time has come. It's time to move on and just look for the future. I would love to get Tyler Warren. I don't know if we could. I don't know if he'll be a first-round pick, probably. Would I use a first-round pick or trade up for Tyler Warren? I don't know. I kind of want – it depends on if the Eagles get another safety. If they do before the draft, I would say, yeah, I would do that. But other than that, bro, like, man, you got to go out there and get a safety, bro. Got to go get a safety. So, and we're going to do a lot of draft talk, and y'all know that. A whole lot of draft talk. So, Dallas Goedert, he's most likely out the door in Philly, and he's a legend. Sad to see, but it's a cold game, bro. It's a cold game. Nick Sirianni. I saw that the Eagles since 2020 have 0 players under suspension. 0 players. So I don't go by what the media says. I don't go by what it might seem it's like. I go by the facts. And so with Nick Sirianni, he has led an Eagles team that since he's taken over, they have had 0 players to get suspensions. 0. Nobody in the NFL has done that. Not the Lions. And they swear that the Lions have this impeccable culture that Dan Campbell created, and he's light years above Nick Sirianni. Now, it's actually flipped around. Whether it's Andy Reid or Sean McVay, whatever the case may be, and I think those guys are world-class coaches. But I'm just saying, we have a lot of great coaches in this league, and they haven't been able to manage their locker room. And the reason why I'm saying this is because the same logic went towards Nick Sirianni. When A.J. Brown reads a book on the sidelines, they're saying, Nick Sirianni, get your players in check. What the heck? Because he's reading a book? I'm like, what the heck is y'all talking about, bro? So ultimately, Nick Sirianni is a top 3 coach in the NFL. He has controlled his locker room. 0 players since he started have had suspensions. And this guy is one of the elite coaches in this league. There are only 2 coaches that I would say are better than him. Sean McVay or Andy Reid. I'll be fair. Only guys. Outside of that, Kyle Shanahan, he's a better play caller. Is he a better coach? No. John Harbaugh? No. When the last time he won? The only one I'll give you, maybe Mike Tomlin, because if he had the Eagles roster, I could see that. But outside of that, bruh, Nick Sirianni's a top 3 coach, top 4 at worst, bruh, and he needs his respect. And it's pretty crazy that since the Super Bowl, he really hasn't gotten that respect that you would think a Super Bowl winning coach should get after winning a Super Bowl. I'm just saying, bruh. I'm just saying. Got 2 more topics, bruh. I want to talk about A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon being the Eagles running back 2 alongside Saquon Barkley is an amazing move. Amazing move. I mean, again, what Howie Roseman is doing is that he's able to get these guys that nobody wants on a discount, and these are guys that have high upside. A.J. Dillon in 2023 had 613 rushing yards and 223 receiving yards in 15 games before he got injured. Now, he missed the entire 2024 season with that neck injury, but he's been cleared to play by doctors all across the world. And I believe A.J. Dillon, with this Eagles offensive line, paired up with Saquon Barkley, I mean, this guy, A.J. Dillon, was the second running back to Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is a really good running back in this league. He ain't no Saquon Barkley. So I look at this and I say, bet, bet, bet. The goal is for Saquon Barkley to have longevity because they signed that extension, making him the highest paid running back of all time. He deserved every single penny. One could argue he deserves more than that because guys like Brandon Ayuk make $10 more million than Saquon, which is insane, but it shows the value of the running backs versus wide receivers in this league. But ultimately, bro, all we are trying to say is that A.J. Dillon is really, really great for the Eagles because he puts the pressure off Saquon. Saquon, he had over 340 touches last year. Now, the Eagles won the bowl, but averaging over 340 touches just isn't sustainable, and we need to lower that. So we can lower those numbers in the regular season, and then come the playoffs, Saquon is going bonkers. That's amazing because we're not just worried about next year. We're worried about the year after that and the year after that. I mean, we got Hurts, Smitty, AJ, and Saquon tied up till 2029. This is not just the short term. This is the long term with Saquon. And you're seeing what Derrick Henry has done. Oh my gosh, Saquon, he got a lot left in the tank. And if the Eagles can manage him better, oh my goodness, we're talking about a guy that will have a Hall of Fame career. For sure. For sure. It's just the Giants kind of robbed that a little bit, but he's on that Hall of Fame trajectory. And if he has his longevity, oh my gosh, Saquon is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer in my eyes. Last thing, bro, I just want to shout out Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson, bro. I mean, he's played with Nick Foles, with Carson Wentz, with Jalen Hurts. If I'm not mistaken, Donovan McNabb. I believe that he actually survived the Chip Kelly era too. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm looking at this and I'm saying this guy deserves every penny of his contract extension. He's doing that to alleviate cap and spread out his money over time. And this guy is one of the ultimate Philadelphia Eagles of all time. His story is amazing, overcoming what he had to overcome. And oh my goodness, Lane Johnson, you are a gem. You are 30 plus years old and still the best right tackle in the NFL. Here is my favorite Lane Johnson story. Remember last season when they made Penei Sewell first team All-Pro right tackle, and it's no salt on Penei Sewell, but if you look at the stats, it's night and day. It's night and day. And so what did Lane Johnson do? As soon as the All-Pro first pro, as my fault, bro. As soon as the first team All-Pro selections were made, what happened? He posted it on his locker for all the reporters to see. And then he followed that up by being a part of one of the most dominant offensive lines in modern history, leading Saquon Barkley to have a NFL record 2,500 scrimmage yards and get his second Super Bowl. That is a Philly legend. He talked that talk, he showed y'all tripping, and he backed it up. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. It's Real Talk and MJ, where y'all know I always keep it real. I'm out, y'all. Fly Eagles fly.